Rainbow Reflections, Book 2, Put Out the Fire, Chapter 6, Walking in a Daze. September 14 brought the first day of school for the second-year students, whose classes were mostly on Tuesday. Ren's classes were only on Tuesday, as she wasn't taking a single art class this year. The previous year, she had loaded her schedule with every art class, but she didn't want to fall behind on her core classes, especially as the martial arts club would be taking place 6 days a week. Sorella was taking the same classes as Ren, as she had decided to take the 2 Tai Chi classes instead of 2 art classes for electives. Yet she was in the Tai Chi 1 classes, which had already taken place on Moon Day. Zin's schedule was different from the girls'. As they'd been allowed to take Magic Studies the entire way through the first year, they were enrolled in the Magic Studies 2 class on Tuesday. But they had to retake Magic Channeling 1, Plants 1, and Potions 1, which all took place on Moon Day. They then had Kung Fu and Tai Chi classes on Tuesday. Like Ren, they weren't taking any art classes. They had wanted to take theater, but since Astra had never responded to Hyaktu's messages, Wave had replaced him, and Zin found Wave to be too calm and boring. "I wonder what we'll learn this year," Zin said that Tuesday morning as they crossed the courtyard to the Magic Studies classroom. "I think we get to learn how to enchant items," Ren said thoughtfully, tapping her pointed chin. "Should be right up your alley, Zin." Zin grinned, pulling out the box of cards that had been enchanted by their father. "I can't wait to learn that!" Sorella snorted. "You probably won't be able to enchant cards or do anything fancy like that. Besides, it's just Magic Studies. It'll be lectures, not doing anything." Ren pulled open the door to the classroom, allowing Zin and Sorella to enter the paper-scented room. The trio took their seats at the front, the minute bell sounding a few moments later. Ren hummed softly to herself as students entered the room, only coming out of her trance when a loud voice spoke up. "Where is everyone, Ailu?" Aeldadam asked. Ren sat straight, not realizing that she had slumped in her seat. She glanced around the room, and saw that there were less students than there had been in the first year. She frowned, realizing further that Khurshid hadn't entered despite the final bell ringing. C3, sitting right behind Zin in the second row, got to his feet and did a quick head count.
"We are at 16 students,"
he announced.
5 have dropped out.
"Why?" Murneo queried. "My guess is they only wanted to learn enough magic to set them up in the real world," Raimugi replied.
"And my assumption,"
C3 said loudly, stressing his words,
"is that the students were scared off and decided not to return. In effect, I know Ash Kalima specifically said she would not be returning because of that. Her family had to move to a different city to find a new magic school."
The door to the classroom opened as both Khurshid and Hyaktu hurried in, a gust of wind behind them. Khurshid was dressed in his usual fashion, wearing a yellow-collared shirt with a gold sash tied around his waist. A large backpack was slung over his shoulders like he had returned from an adventure. Hyaktu wore his typical blue robe, which was tied with a black sash knotted on his right side. The robe had a small yin-yang symbol on the upper left in front, and a large one in the center on the back. Beneath the robe, he wore his typical lawn shirt, baggy pants, and pointed shoes. His skin was covered in sweat, as if he'd been running laps around the school in the double layers. Ren half expected him to untie the sash and take the robe off. Khurshid sat down at the table in front of the desk, setting his backpack on its surface. Hyaktu remained standing, wiping his hair from his eyes and quickly running his hand through it, as if trying to appear less messy.
"Apologies for being late,"
Khurshid said.
"Welcome back to a second year. I'm going to have my mirror call out attendance to be sure everyone is here."
"But everyone is not present,"
C3 said loudly, still standing up.
"We are 5 students short from the previous year."
Khurshid inclined his head, his large nose pointing down at the desk.
"We typically lose students each year. They don't want to learn any further magic outside of wands, or they cannot afford it."
"Ha! I was right!" Raimugi said. C3 scowled in their direction.
"Why would students give up such important education? Surely they want to do more than wave a wand about? Surely they want to discover the secrets to magic,
That's quite enough, Hyaktu interrupted. We have a lot to do today, and we're already late.
Mirror, call out the attendants.
Khurshid ordered his mirror before C3 could argue any further. The mirror started reading in an automated and boring voice. Avin, Midnight. Here, Midnight called from the back, more for Khurshid than the mirror's notice. Saihan, Ren, Saihan, Zinnovis. The twins both raised their hands quietly, knowing Khurshid would be able to detect the movement. Even so, Hyaktu was watching from the door, taking note of each student like he had the previous year. Ren wondered if he was going to cover the school rules again, or perhaps address the previous year's events. Clay, Cypress.
I am present.
C3 said pointlessly. Datum, Ale, Gatin, Ronael, Hajraru, Remlion, Aquamar, J. Kyan, J. Ebony, J. Scarlet, Kiran Sarala, Pani Shemek, Tulasi, Retzel, Meadow, Rulik, Murneo, Sinzanko, Raimugi, Wolf, Frost. Each student raised their hand or said that they were there in response to their name.
Now that everyone's here, we can begin.
Khurshid said, rising to his feet.
As you noticed, Mr. Saihan is with me. This is because we've decided to change the curriculum. In fact, the two of us will be teaching magic studies and magic channeling this year.
C3 raised his hand and asked,
What does that mean? Are we still receiving the same education? Have you added another year?
The contrary, actually, Hyaktu said, smiling at the boy. We've decided to compress the years. Our current fourth-year students are going through the same schedule we followed before. But you second years and the third years and all of the new students after you will be following a curriculum that takes 3 years instead of 4.
Are we no longer learning everything?
C3 asked, his face concerned. Hyaktu shrugged lightly. We didn't cut out the important bits, he said. We ensured the most vital topics are going to be covered. It's more to do with the plants and potions classes in regards to healing. You'll still learn healing for minor injuries and illnesses. There will be some lectures on major ailments, but they won't be covered as in-depth because that information isn't worth it. But healing's important, Ren said, her eyes wide. Yeah, especially after last year, Roniel muttered in the back of the class. Khurshid straightened and said,
We understand your concerns. If you'd like to learn healing for a career, we highly recommend you go to a college with a healing program. We will give you a foundation for healing, but we simply cannot teach you to properly heal when it comes to major runes, as we cannot get the hands-on experience, and listening to lectures on the subject won't teach you much. So healing more serious injuries has been removed from the curriculum outside the lectures.
What about all the students before us, who learned healing already? How did they learn it? Raimugi queried. They technically didn't, Hyaktu answered. They sat through lectures, and most of them forgot what they heard anyway. It's a waste of time to teach it since not many students retain the information. And if a student wanted to become a healer, they'd have to go to college for that program, where they would receive lectures on all of this anyway.
What else has been cut?
C3 asked. Just a bit of the more useless information, Hyaktu said, waving his hand to create a burst of wind at his face. You're still going to get a good education and gain the certifications you want and need. What about martial arts? Sarala asked, not bothering to raise her hand. Isn't Kung Fu 4 all about using magic with martial arts? So how would students be able to take Kung Fu 4? Students can stay for a 4th year if they'd like to, Hyaktu said. Even so, very few students make it to Kung Fu 4, and we've only ever had one student in Tai Chi 4. Kung Fu 3 will be more magic-based too.
But why speed up the education process?
C3 pressed.
Wasn't 4 years good? That is the typical time Magic High School takes. Besides, the school year is already getting a late start. which was never explained why in the airmail sent out.
Hyaktu nodded slowly. The late start will make no difference to the amount of material you learn. As for the curriculum, I have my reasons for wanting to give you a solid education sooner.
Because of the spirits last year?
C3 asked bluntly. Hyaktu's smile faltered for a millisecond. Ren stiffened, her breath quickening. Why didn't Dad tell us about the curriculum changes? Is he really changing everything because of the spirits? Is he teaching us stuff sooner so we're prepared to deal with them? But I don't want to fight spirits again. You're certainly observant, Hyaktu said casually after a moment. I'd like to make sure you're all gaining the education you need. With that being said, the second and third year classes will be more handpicked. Mr. Jihan and I will meet with each of you to go over your schedules and determine if you are a good fit for this set of classes based on your performance the previous year. The second year classes will not be as difficult to get into and will be based on which classes you specifically want to go into. The third year classes, however, will definitely be handpicked. We will go over this at the end of the year. We will meet with you one at a time, Hyaktu continued, going in alphabetical order by last name. Midnight, you're up first. The rest of you, please go to the courtyard. Ren got to her feet and followed Sarala to the courtyard, Zin and the other students filing out behind her. Ren paused when she was in the warm sunshine, waiting for her twin. The three then walked towards the pond a bit away from the classroom, as most of the students lingered near the door. Did you know about this? Sarala asked Ren once they were out of earshot from the other students. Ren shook her head, still feeling baffled. Dad never said anything about this. I just thought he was going to initiate that martial arts program, but last I heard, nobody signed up, so he canceled it.
For now,
said a jeering voice behind them. They swiveled around to face C3, Sarala scowling at the boy in annoyance as she snapped, What do you mean? C3 wrinkled his nose, as if he smelled something bad.
We all know your father,
he said to Zen,
will let you stay in martial arts classes if it turns out you're still non-magical.
I've always had my magic, Zen hissed. I just needed to be on hormone-blocking potions, which meant I had no magic for a while. C3's expression turned sour.
We all know that's a lie,
he spat.
You never had magic. Your father made up the martial arts program to keep you in school. You didn't deserve to be here last year. You still don't deserve to be here this year.
I have magic, Zin seethed, taking a step closer to C3 as their lip curled back. Sarala sighed heavily and stepped between the two before Ren could move an inch. Drop it, will you? She grumbled to C3. Zin has magic.
Oh yeah? Then show me your air magic,
C3 jeered. Ren, Hyaktu's voice called. Zin, you might as well come along too. C3 scowled as the twins' father came to the rescue. Ren grabbed Zin's arm and pulled them away after her, Zin sticking their tongue out at C3 as they passed. The siblings scampered inside the classroom again, Hyaktu ushering them to take a seat at the teacher's table, where 2 chairs had been placed. He remained standing, tapping his fingers on the wooden surface. Dad, what's with the changes? Ren asked as she sat down, her heart racing again. Hyaktu frowned. I didn't tell you? No, the twins replied in unison. Hyaktu blinked. Oh, sorry, I thought I already did. We're initiating changes so you kids can be out of school sooner, and we can get back to traveling. We're gonna travel again? Zin asked eagerly, hopping to their feet. Hyaktu snorted in amusement. Not yet, but once you two are done with the academy, we will. So you're speeding up classes just for us? Ren mumbled, cocking her head. Yes and no. The 4th year isn't necessary to keep, though Khurshid will determine that once the school transfers to him, Hyaktu said, signaling to Khurshid sitting at the table. Anyhow, which classes would you kids like to take this year? I'll keep my schedule as it is, Ren said, fidgeting uneasily as she tried to process everything her father had said. Me too, Zin said. I mean, it's not like I can change out of the 1st year classes, and I want to retake all of them regardless. Hyaktu nodded. I expected as much. Have you two given more thought to your futures? Ren exchanged a glance with Zin. She could tell that they were thinking the same thing as her. No, not really, Ren said after a moment. It's too early to think about that, isn't it? Hyaktu smiled warmly. Yes, it is. You'll have all year to think over which classes you'll be taking next year. As long as you do good in classes this year, I'll let you into any class you want to go into next year.
Don't they have to prove themselves?
Khurshid queried. Prove ourselves? Zin asked. We're careful about who we let into the advanced classes, explained Hyaktu. After all, we don't want students learning advanced magic and using it for improper deeds. Students don't actually have to prove themselves to us. We observe them throughout the year and take their actions into account. He turned to Khurshid and said, My kids don't need to prove anything. I know they will not abuse spirit magic whenever it's time for them to use it.
But you cannot treat them differently from the other students here,
Khurshid said, his face troubled.
That isn't fair. If I had kids, I'd also test them to see which classes they should take.
Hyaktu sighed. I suppose you're right, but even if we're not at this school, even if I never made it in the first place, I'd still be teaching my kids spirit magic. I trust them. Kids, you may go. Ren got to her feet and stumbled from the room with Zin beside her. Feeling dazed, she spoke to Zin telepathically. What was that about? Before Zin could reply, Hyaktu called for C3. The boy hurried over, shoving past Zin on the way the moment Hyaktu wasn't looking. Zin made a face at him, but he pretended not to notice as he went inside. Geez, what's his problem? Zin grumbled as they reached Sarala. He's mad about the hover boats, said Sarala. He was complaining to me the whole time you were in there. Well, it is his fault, Zin pointed out. Sarala looked irritated as she shrugged in reply. Can we not talk about the hoverboats again? Ren asked in slight exasperation, a shiver running down her spine as she remembered blacking out in the crash. Zin glanced at her in concern, the anger falling from their face. They nodded once. So what were you saying? I was just wondering what Dad was going on about, with traveling and teaching us spirit magic, Ren murmured, being sure to keep her voice low in case C3 came up behind them again. You're going to travel? Sarala asked, an odd expression on her face. When? Not yet, as far as I know, Ren said. But it sounds like Dad's speeding up school to get us out of here sooner. Then he's giving the school to Khurshid. I hope we get to travel again, Zin moaned. I miss it. But what about... Sarala's voice trailed off and she quickly fell silent. What about what? Ren asked Sarala. The other girl clenched her jaw and lowered her gaze. She remained quiet for several long moments. Sarala? Nothing, she finally uttered. Were you going to ask about traveling? Zin pondered. Sarala's whole face became taut at once. Oh, Sarala, Ren gasped, realizing what she was going to ask. You'll come with us whenever we travel. You know that, right? Whenever we're done with school or even just going on vacation someplace, you'll come with us. Sarala grunted in response, poking the stone ground with the corner of her shoe. Yeah, if you want to, that is, Zin added. You don't have to if you want to attend college or do something else, but I'm gonna travel with Dad. What about you, Ren? Sarala grumbled. What do you plan to do for your future? Are you going to do college? Ren shrugged. I haven't given it much thought, she said earnestly. The world is so full of opportunities. Maybe I'll do something with healing if I like it, but I definitely have to attend college for that. Or since I love plants so much, I can always go into something with that, and I probably wouldn't need to do college. At least not right away. Or something with crystals. Those seem cool. You have no idea what you want to do you? Sarala asked bluntly. Nope, Ren chuckled cheerfully. But I'm not worried about it. I'll just figure it out as I go. What about you? Sarala asked Zin. Zin hung back, their shoulders slumped. I don't know, they muttered. I haven't thought of it much either. Besides, I'm only in the first year technically. It's not like I need to decide anytime soon. Are neither of you interested in doing something with martial arts? Sarala asked in surprise. Maybe, Ren said. I had fun teaching you two over the break, and I'm excited for the club. Oh, maybe I could be a meditation teacher. Zin shrugged, their eyes glazing over. I just want to travel. Sorella frowned at their responses. But your dad's a master martial artist. Aren't either of you interested in following his footsteps? Doesn't he expect you to? Not really, Ren replied. He always told us we were free to choose what we wanted to do, and if it had nothing to do with martial arts, that was fine. He wants us to do what makes us happy, not him, and he's happy with whatever we choose. Yeah, so long as it isn't hurting others, Zin put in. Ren snorted and flicked Zin. Obviously. Zin chuckled, then commented, He told us that years ago, huh? Back when neither of us was interested in learning martial arts. Yeah, Ren said, fidgeting uneasily. I kind of wish we learned sooner. It is fun. Same, Zin muttered. We probably disappointed him. Sorella stared at them blankly. Wait, your dad offered to teach you when you were younger and you passed it up? Zin shrugged. What can I say? We were obviously idiots to do so. Yeah, we could have been master martial artists by now if we had started as kids, Ren scoffed. Sorella stared at them like they had turned into plants before her eyes. Ren tilted her head. Sorella, you okay? She asked, leaning forward to peer more closely at the girl through her rectangular glasses. I'm fine, she uttered, shaking her head roughly and causing her long hair to fly about on the light breeze. Anyway, I don't think college is for me, nor traveling. Before the twins could say anything else, Hyaktu called Sorella's name and she hurried away. What was that about? Ren pondered with a frown. Zin picked up a pebble and threw it into the pond, the water splashing lightly. Sounds like she doesn't want to stick with us wherever we end up, they said. Ren's heart sank as she stared after Sorella vanishing into the classroom behind her father. But she's part of the family, isn't she? And as family, we have to stick together. We can't split apart.